Hello and welcome. I'm Keegan Hirst, and this is the Hirst Locker, the podcast for men who want to build an incredible body, a rock-solid mindset, and unstoppable confidence. It's for men who want to live life on their terms and live it to their full potential. I've helped hundreds of men transform their lives, giving them the knowledge, the tools, and the self-belief to help them smash through the glass ceiling that stopped them from achieving their dreams. And I want to do the same for you. Now we're going to focus on physical, mental and emotional health, things that affect us as gay men so that we can live life on our terms, build the body that we want and feel confident living that life. I'm going to help you cut through the noise and confusion to give you the confidence and clarity to take action and build the best version of yourself, to give you complete control of your body, your mindset, your habits and ultimately your life. So let's get to it. Hello guys and welcome to this week's episode of the Hirst Locker. It's a little bit different. We've got a guest on board for you. We've got Todd Masterson. Welcome to the show, mate. Thank you for coming on. Let me introduce Todd and then we're gonna get straight into it. So for those guys who don't know Todd, shame on you. But Todd Masterson is a writer, actor, social media genius. He lives up in Seattle. He's worked on lots of different shows, including RuPaul. He's written for comedy legend Joan Rivers, and he puts a load of time and effort into his incredibly funny Instagram, Gay Fat Friend. Go give it a follow if you don't already, which takes a satirical look at certain parts of gay social media, but more importantly, is really challenging body image and body standards in us as gay men. So thank you for coming on the show, Todd. I am really, really excited to chat to you.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. I was just fangirling to Todd before we started the podcast. I'm a big fan. I've followed Todd on social media for a couple of years now because the big reason I think why I relate to your social media so much is I remember when I first came out, I did a photo shoot for Attitude, and I was still playing rugby at the time, and I'd never really been criticized for what I looked like. I'd always been quite self-conscious. I was an overweight kid, and I kind of always knew, but I was a rugby player and I knew that my body had to be an instrument, not an ornament. And I remember doing this photo shoot for Attitude, and they had me in a shower and I had my top off, and I remember they put a video up on their social media and all the comments came through, and it's always the one negative comment, isn't it? And this one comment said, couldn't they just Photoshop some abs onto it?
Oh God.
And that was for me the rude awakening of what body standards are for gay men, especially on social media. So I mean, like, what was it that made you want to start it? What kind of drew your attention to it? Like, what? Because it's a big thing, and I love that you do it. Why did you feel that you needed to do it, or what brought you to it?
Well, so I was living in Los Angeles, specifically in West Hollywood, which is like, the gay neighborhood, and I was there for 15 years, and I realized, I kind of noticed that all of these guys kind of all had the same gym body, and they all hang out together, and they all go to the same beaches, and they all go to the same parties and stuff. And there was never a fat person in sight. They literally just hang out with each other in these little pods, and that's all they ever do. And they don't like branch out and hang out with other people. So I got this idea to start Gay Fat Friend, where I just photoshopped myself with my shirt off in a swimsuit, just like they are. I photoshopped myself into their pictures and then reposted it on my Instagram to be like, see, this is what it would look like if you had a fat friend, this is what it would look like if you had a gay fat friend. And it just kind of blew up. And the reason I did it is because I was noticing as I got older, and the more, I lived in West Hollywood and stuff like that, and worked in Hollywood, is that like the cliche of having a perfect body and being gay was starting to become such a concrete norm. Like people just assumed like, oh, if you're gay, you go to the gym and you have this kind of body and you look this kind of way. And they weren't realizing that it's like a choice and an aesthetic. not so much that it was like a given that you had to be ripped, you know? And I was like, whoa, this is getting a little too comfortable here. Like you guys, you can't just assume gay people are all going to be ripped and hot. And I have a lot of friends that became sick because of it. You know, people starve themselves, people work out too much, it really messes with their brains and their bodies physically. Like people were hurting themselves.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to use my comedy background and kind of just stick my foot in the door and be like, whoa, we just need to slow down a little bit. Everybody's getting a little too serious about having a six pack.
Yeah, I completely, I know exactly. I mean, I've never lived in West Hollywood, but I've certainly been a couple of times, and everybody looks the same. Everybody's beautiful. Everybody's look like they're carved out of granite, and it can be quite intimidating. And I would like to think I'm in decent shape. You know, I'm not ripped to death. I'm not, but you know, I've trained. I've been a professional athlete. I probably, you know, dare I say it, got a bit more to offer than, you know, just a pair of pecs. And it can be quite intimidating. And I know there's a lot of my clients, you know, I predominantly work with gay guys, and they feel completely, a big thing we talk about is, I think growing up as gay men, we crave acceptance, don't we? Because I know for me, I'm in my 30s. Growing up, I was, you know, don't be gay, don't do that, stop being gay. Like gay was synonymous with the negative, and so we were and so obviously some gay guys have gone, right, well, I'll get a great body and that's how I'll be accepted. Or some people have worked really hard, but I know that for a lot of guys who aren't willing or able to commit the amount of time and effort, as you've said there, Todd, to get this incredible physique, they feel like they don't fit in, or they feel like they're a second class gay. And I mean,
I feel like a lot of people get stuck in this thing too, where it never ends. Like you get to a certain level and you're like, oh, this is the body I thought I needed, you know, and then your brain just kind of melts and you're like, nope, I got to keep going. I got to go further because somebody else has an 8-pack and I only have a 6-pack and all this stuff, you know, like it never stops. It's kind of like when I got my first writing job for Joan Rivers, it was I worked so hard and it was such a struggle to get that job. And then I got the job and I was like, oh, I actually like have to do the job. You can't pay your bills with your dreams coming true. You know, like just because you got to a certain level doesn't mean like it's over. So I feel like the same thing happens with fitness and working out and stuff like that. You can really get stuck into like, oh, I got to keep going. I'm at the goal, but I got to keep going. And I think that's where it gets really scary.
Yeah, because our expectations move faster than reality, don't they? So like you said there, you get the Joan Rivers gig and then you go, right, I need to do more now, but I've not done the gig yet. And as you say, it's the same with the physique. And something I talk about a lot is, you know, you want to try and have an equal amount of drive to do better, but you need to balance that out with like a gratitude and appreciation for, actually, I have done a good job and I have worked hard and I do appreciate what I've got. So it's not this, because otherwise you just end up on autopilot, don't you? And you just keep going and going and you never actually appreciate what you look like. And I think something that I don't know what your take is on this, Todd, but these beautiful gay guys who are all over social media, they're like rugby players, they're like ballet dancers. One day they're going to be fat and old. We're all going to be fat and old one day, and then it kind of makes you go, well, what else have you got? What substance have you got? And I think that's why you challenging that on your social media is hopefully making people go, there's more to this. There's more to this, because it becomes quite insidious, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's not going to last forever. I mean, I know so many people that have, you know, perfect, beautiful, chiseled bodies, and they're eating the craziest foods and spending so much time at the gym and just living their life working around having this body. And it's like, that's not, you know, sustainable. That's not going to last forever. Like you can't, as soon as you stop eating like that, it's all going to go away. So you got to develop something else, you know. I definitely know. I always think it's funny. Like I've seen all these guys with like perfect gym bodies, and then they're just like a banker or a lawyer or something. And it's like, you're working so hard to have a body. I can understand if you're like a fitness model or if you wanted to get into like, you know, bodybuilding competitions and stuff like that. But it's like, oh, you work in an office. Like, why are you working so hard to get that body just because you want to go to parties on the weekends? You can still go to those parties. I go to those parties.
And because that's what it is. It's about that balance, isn't it? It's about you want to be able to enjoy life. I think there's a UFC fighter from Liverpool called Paddy the Baddy, and he puts a lot of weight on when he's in his off season, and he says, "I'd rather be fat and happy than skinny and sad."
Yeah.
And I think that's that perfect physique is like the life will be good when I've got this, when I've got the job, when I've got that. And again, it never actually gets there. I mean, how much would you say, because you've obviously seen the rise of social media and the impact it has on the gay community, how quickly have you seen that changing? How fast body standards have gone up from where they were to where they're at now? Like,
well, I think it's I don't know, it's kind of splintering off. Now I feel like there are groups of gay guys that are like, no, this is my body and I love my body and I don't need to spend every waking moment in the gym and I don't have to eat rice and carrots forever. And more and more people, especially with Instagram and TikTok, I think are accepting the bodies they're in. And I think, on a grander scale, like people like Lizzo and stuff are making it a lot easier to live in your own skin and not have to worry about what other people think. And I think that's really great. But then at the same time, I think with COVID kind of shutting everything down and everybody got really lonely and really separated. And so when things started opening up, like circuit parties are like really big again, and cruises, and everybody's in Mykonos right now. It's like Mykonos season and Ibiza season and all that stuff. So it's like I feel like certain groups kind of splintered off and just are concentrating and getting harder and harder into like fitness and stuff. So I definitely think there's still a lot of work to be done, but I think a lot of good stuff is happening now. I think it's a lot better. I don't want to say easier, but I think it's a lot better to be comfortable in your own skin on social media now.
Yeah. And
because you can see everybody else around the world that looks just like you and is doing the same thing.
Yeah. And I say to my guy, like, social media is a double-edged sword, because on one end you've got that way you can see people who they're happy, they're not ripped to death, and they're having a lovely life, or what looks like a lovely life. But also back in the day when there wasn't social media, you might go to the gym and go, I actually look all right, I'm pretty good, and you might have the best body in the town, and then you go on social media and you go, fucking hell, I'm nowhere near what I thought it was. So
I mean, and that's the thing too, is I think it's a lot in everyone's heads. Like we're always thinking for other people, so like I know a lot of beautiful men that don't think they're good enough yet and keep going to the gym and stuff, and it's like that's just you. Like you're looking at your body thinking that, but other people don't think that, and you fit in and you look great, and everybody likes you. You're very attractive. Everybody likes you. It's just in your head that you think you're not good enough.
Yeah, but that perception is reality, isn't it? How you perceive you are is what you think is reality. I know a guy who he's a stylist. He actually lives in LA now, and he has always been in good shape. And when I met him, he had abs and he looked great. And he said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about having liposuction on this." And he's like got the tiniest. It wasn't even fat; it was skin. And I was like, "You're preposterous. Like you're not well." Perception.
It's funny because right now everybody's getting monkeypox vaccines here, and they have to inject it into fat, like under the skin. It's like a subcutaneous like fat injection. And a friend of mine had no fat in his arms, and they were like struggling to give him his monkeypox vaccine. And it's like, well, girl, maybe take a break then. Maybe get some fat on your arms.
Just have a donut. So like with these body standards and things, do you feel that the social media giants themselves, your TikToks, your Instagrams, and even like media outlets, like we have Gay Times, we have Attitude Magazine over here in the UK, do you feel that they have a responsibility to promote different body shapes?
Sure, I do. I think it, like, if you have a platform for a whole community, then you need to like show the whole community. You can't just always have like Brad Pitt types on the cover of your magazine. You gotta show everybody. for every community, you know, racially, size, the people of size, like all that stuff. Like you need to diversify because the community encompasses all those people. And so, yeah, I think if you have a platform like that, such as a magazine, that you need to show all sides and make people comfortable.
Yeah, and that is, it feels really hypocritical when certainly gay media outlets don't do that, and they bang the drum for inclusivity, but don't include all of us.
Well, and the thing too is, like, if you want to be a gay, like a ripped gay magazine, call yourself, like, you know, Abs and Pecs or something. Like, don't call yourself Gay Times or whatever and only show one kind of person. Like, if you want to be a magazine that only shows super ripped people, that's great. Just admit it and do that. Don't kind of like try to sneak under the radar. That's just a blanket gay magazine, you know.
I think that's a really good point, mate. A really important one. What we've kind of talked about there about representation, and you spoke quite a lot on your Instagram, and I've spoke about it too. We're talking about corporations, we're talking about responsibilities. Pride season has just kind of been and gone. We've still got Manchester Pride coming up at the end of this month, but then I think that might be the last one over here. Rainbow capitalism, it comes up all the time. I know what your views are, because I will follow you, and I know, but just for people, anyone who might not know what it is, just give us in a nutshell and talk about whether you think it's a good thing, whether you think it's a bad thing. I think, because I think this is a really big talking point and something that a lot of people struggle with.
Well, so rainbow capitalism is when Pride Month, which is June, corporations like put rainbows in their logos or start selling rainbow and gay pride merch at all the stores, or they'll do a special, like, you know, like Coach will do a special pride duffel bag or a special pride wallet and stuff like that. And I personally love it. I think it's great. I think the more rainbows and representation we have out there, the better. I don't think it's ever gonna hurt to have more gay representation. That's just how I feel. But a lot of people don't like it. And I get it, like a corporation that donates a lot of money to anti-gay politicians and legislation and then turns around and sells a rainbow t-shirt. Like, I get how that's frustrating and that's really annoying, but I will say a lot of these companies don't make any profit off of their pride merchandise. A lot of it goes to waste, you know. And also, I personally believe that pride is like a holiday now. So some people get mad that they're like, well, they don't sell rainbow t-shirts all year long, they only do it for June. And I'm like, well, June is pride. It's like if like they started selling a Christmas
causes in July.
Yeah, you're not buying Christmas tree t-shirts in July. Like, why would you buy rainbow stuff year round? You can find it if you need it, it's out there. But pride is a holiday, so of course they're going to really pump it that month, you know.
And I think as well, and I don't think I used to appreciate this, but the kind of longer I've been out now, I think when you see that rainbow flag somewhere, whether it's outside a building or it's hanging up in a window or a bar or whatever, or you see somebody wearing, like, I have a little pride thing on my bag, and I every year I buy, I think Adidas's rainbow stuff, pride stuff is really good, and everybody always asks me where did I get my jacket from, where did I get my trainers from. Because for me, when I see that rainbow flag, I go, you're a friend. That's a safe. And and I know you're, like, for me and you talk, like, you're 6'7", right? I'm 6'4". I don't think we're necessarily as at risk of being attacked as some other people might be, but and that's why I do think it's important for us all to have that. And I also think it gives, if you were to work for a company that is putting up a rainbow flag on their logo, if I was an LGBT employee, that would give me the leverage to be able to go, well, you're not actually doing anything for me in this company. I'm not represented. You don't have a diversity inclusivity group. Like, do you feel, because I think we often put a lot of onus on the big companies who granted they make all the money, they should do all this, you know, put these things in place. But I think personally, it's our responsibility as the community to make sure that that exists and to make sure they build it and they enforce it. And they, like,
Yeah.
do you agree? Do you think it's whose responsibility do you think it is to, you know, champion that diversity and inclusivity?
Well, exactly that. Like, I feel like employees can hold the owners of the company their feet to the fire, and
Yeah.
a thing about a lot of these campaigns is that they are produced by people in the LGBT community. You know, like I know a lot of trans people and a lot of queer people that work at Target corporate, which Target is like a big store here. I don't think you guys have Target over there, but
No, we don't, but I've been.
yeah, but like the diversity and inclusivity team at Target who like builds the pride campaigns and stuff, they're all queer people. So like those jobs, they're giving people in the community jobs, and they're letting them have a voice and letting them design and produce all this stuff. Like there's a lot of queer voices behind a lot of these campaigns that people don't necessarily see. And so they think this like big straight old white man is designing all this stuff and trying to get like the gay dollar, and that's just not really what's happening, you know?
I think so, because those people who are the enemy, and I'm doing that in inverted commas, those old straight white gay men who are angry at everybody for not being old straight and white, they don't have the scope of the vision or I'm sure they would rather cut their nose off rather than take the pink pound. So I completely agree. I mean, we've kind of touched on rainbow capitalism there. We've touched on you mentioned Pride being a holiday. Now, like, what are your thoughts on Pride? Because I'm sure you've seen it like transform over the last 10, 20 years. Like, what are your thoughts on it now? How relevant do you think it is? Has it changed for better, for worse? What are your thoughts on it?
I love Pride. I've always loved Pride, like going to Pride festivals and parades and stuff. I've been in the parades, I've been to the festivals. I've done every aspect of a Pride festival, and I love them. I think they're great. I think it's just a big gathering of like-minded people, and it's just really fun and comforting to just look around and see a sea of gay people and just feel comfortable and safe and not really have to worry about anything else. And so I love prides and stuff like that. I definitely think they're like in the States, like certain cities have like family friendly prides, and I think if you advertise yourself as that, that's great, but like assuming that a pride needs to be like family friendly, that's not our responsibility, you know what I'm saying? Because like the whole thing now is like no kink at Pride, like no one wants to see the harnesses and everybody should keep their shirt on and stuff like that. And I'm like, that was the fun thing about Pride. It was like everybody came together, and you would go see the leather daddies and you would go see the the go-go boys and everything, and that was like a fun thing about Pride. And so to kind of let people with kids and stuff like that dictate what Pride is, it's like it's our thing, it's not your thing. So
well, I agree. I love Pride. I think Pride's really important. I think I have some amazing. Just after it came out, Manchester Pride was the first one I went to. I love Manchester Pride. I went to New York Pride this year for the first time. I cried at the New York parade just because, like you said, seeing so many people there. And I remember thinking, if I'd have gone to a Pride when I was a kid or a teenager, would I have, got married to a woman? Would I have been in denial? Would I have felt so bad about knowing that there was all this love and support and other people who were like me? So I think for us as gay men, it's really important. But I also, like you said there about the kids, I took my kids to their first Pride last weekend. I took them to Leeds Pride, which is not a massive city, but I just thought it's a nice Uber into it. And honestly, some of the backlash that I got from people, mainly on Twitter, which is obviously the Wild West of the internet, but what about if they see someone in a dog costume, or they see someone in like assless chaps? And my response was, if they're in a dog costume, they're in a dog costume. They're not fucking someone on the street. And so they see people in fancy dress all the time. And B, if you think that kids have not seen worse than a bare ass, then you're completely deluded.
Right?
Because my kids are 14 and 10 now. Like they know computers better than I do.
Yeah.
I don't doubt they've seen things that I haven't seen.
Well, and they've gone to movies, they watch TV, like, you know, they see stuff all the time. And it's yeah, I feel like a lot of people are like afraid of kids and afraid of like kids' minds. And it's like, just talk to them, teach them. That's the whole point.
The kids are really clever, and they're really resilient. And I think that what I've feel that I've learned is that people now know that they can't outwardly attack you for being gay or for being black or for being whatever. And so they're now protecting kids. It's the new way of getting around that. So yeah, I mean,
well, that's something I wanted to talk about earlier too, is that like in the States, especially, gay and trans rights have like really blown up again. Like Republicans are trying to like take our rights away again. And
after Roe versus Wade.
And they're starting all these like campaigns and all these rumors and all this stuff that doesn't exist, and they're attacking our community because they really have nothing else to do, it feels like. And so that's why I feel like rainbow capitalism is so important, because like the more rainbows we have out there, the more like people are going to learn and see that it's okay to be gay, and hopefully we can start quieting those loud bigoted voices. Because I know my best friend, her niece is 10, and at 10 she already knows that she's queer. Like she's a 10-year-old, she knows that she's queer, and her parents are not very accepting, but she has a little rainbow bracelet that she keeps in her bedroom. And she told my best friend, who's her aunt, she told her, she was like, I keep the rainbow bracelet in my bedside table and I look at it and I know that things are going to be okay. And I'm like, that made me cry. I was like, oh my God. Like she knows it's going to get better
at the same time. Right? But it is so amazing that these kids, so your friend's niece there who's 10, when I think back, I probably knew that I was gay 11, 12, 13 years old. But because there wasn't the representation that there is now, because it wasn't on TV, it wasn't social media, I knew I was different, but I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until I started, seeing the boys at high school that I was like, oh, that's what it is. And my daughter is 14 now, and she comes up, she went through a phase where every other week, oh, so-and-so's bi, we've got a trans teacher, and it was so, and I know she's saying it to me who's a gay dad, but I don't doubt that she's not saying it to a mom, and it's just not a thing. I mean, every generation it gets less and less stigmatized, and that's what I think pride and rainbow capitalism, all that stuff is about. Like it just keeps making people more and more comfortable every year, and then eventually it's kind of like your daughter's just like, that's just how people are, like so-and-so's bi. It's not even that big of a deal anymore. Exactly. And wouldn't that be nice when we get to these places where gay people's mental health is not always worse than straight people's and things like that. I think, mate, I think what you do, what you're doing on social media is amazing. I think it's really important. Please keep being that voice that you are. Even if it's just for me, Todd.
I will. Thank you. I will. I promise.
Have you got anything? Coming up? Where can people find you? Go.
I just mainly focusing on Instagram and TikTok right now. So they're both just Gay Fat Friend on both of them, and that's where I'm at. I'm still, I don't know, it's weird. We're still like coming out of the pandemic, and now this like monkeypox pandemic is possibly starting. So like I don't know, still in this kind of this bubble. So I don't really have any shows planned. I don't have any appearances planned, but just trying to make my Instagram and TikTok get bigger and bigger every day. So you can find me there.
I certainly will, but thank you, mate. I really, really appreciate you taking the time, and thank you for being such a good sport and a voice in our community. So thank you, mate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you've enjoyed it, go give Todd a follow. If you've enjoyed the podcast, give it a share, leave some comments. Let's push this as far as we can. I think these kind of conversations are really, really important to have. So thank you very much. Appreciate it, and I'll see you next week.